Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the Vertical Response webinar, Secrets to Holiday Postcard Marketing Success. My name is Jill, and with me today is Brendan, and we're going to take you through some good basic tips on direct mail marketing with postcards, as well as some information on how to use postcards for holiday marketing. And we have a lot of examples of postcards that different services or companies can use for the holidays, as well as individuals. Just so you know, this webinar is about 45 minutes or so long. At the end, we will have time for Q&A, though. So if you do have questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as we can at the end of the webinar. And one of the questions we get pretty much every time we do a webinar is this being recorded? And the answer is yes, we are recording this. So this will be available on our help site, so you can access this a little bit later. If you just go to our help site and click webinars, you'll see it up there under postcards. And that'll be available as well as the slides. I'll put the slides up as well so that you have that available if you just want to look at the slides and not hear us talk. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody has signed on now. So this is what we're going to go over today. Again, we're going to give you some tips and best practices for sending direct mail postcards. So we have kind of an overview of what do's and don'ts you should do with your postcards, as well as some tips on using your postcard lists. And as I said, we have lots of examples along the way, so we'll be able to show you a lot of what we're talking about a little bit later in this presentation. So first of all, why postcards? Postcards are the least expensive form of direct mail because you don't have to do quite as much work as you would for sending something that's in an envelope. And according to eMarketer, they were one of the top marketing tactics with a high ROI. We've recently surveyed our own customers on marketing that they respond to, and direct mail was at the top of the list. So one of the other things to keep in mind when you're sending out postcards is that you don't have to wonder if people are going to see the postcard because it's something that's already open. They're not going to have to open an envelope and pull the information out as they would with other direct mail. With postcards, it's right there. The message is right in front of them, and they'll see it as soon as they look at their mail. And it's also pretty much impossible to throw away a postcard without looking at the message that's on the card. In some way, they are going to have to also do something with the postcard. There is an element of active involvement. Maybe they'll put it on the fridge for later use. Maybe the service or product that you have on your postcard is something that they need, but maybe not right now. So they're going to save the postcard, or maybe they'll file it away for the future. Whatever it is that they do with the postcard, they have to act. And in the action that they're taking, they'll pretty much have to read your postcard. There aren't really any list limitations when it comes to postcards. There's not a do not send direct mail list. So while sending to your internal house list is the most effective way to communicate to people, especially through postcards, but email as well. But if you want to branch out in postcards, you can by renting or buying a list to help bolster your own internal efforts. You can also use postcards to help build your mailing list. You can drive contacts to your website to sign up for your email offers or for your newsletters that you have on your postcard. On your website. And we will show you some examples of this later on in this webinar. Another thing to keep in mind is that email addresses have a tendency to change quite a bit. And contact information as well, not just email addresses. And the way the economy has been as of late, people have not been staying at the same jobs maybe as often as they used to. So your email addresses are probably going bad a little faster than they used to, and you will end up getting some bounces. But the nice thing about using direct mail is that even if the person that you normally contact at a company is no longer there, the postcard is going to go to whoever is currently doing that role or who has a similar position. So you can still get your message to the person who needs to see it, even if the original person on your list is no longer there. You also have the ability to help keep your mailing list clean. The postcards sent through our system are sent first class, and so what that means is that if the address that you have is bad, it will come back to you and you can update your files so that you know in the future not to mail to that particular address. Some more things about why you want to use postcards. Postcards can help to create an integrated approach to your marketing. They work really well in tandem with other marketing weapons like emails, especially emails, telephone calls, or even personal visits. One of the things that you want to keep in mind is that you want to establish a frequency that fits your service or your product and also your offer, and then you want to stick with that. One of the things about postcards and even emails really is that usually it takes more than one try to get people to do what you're trying to get them to do. So maybe you want to mail a postcard once every 2 weeks for 2 months, or mail a postcard once a month for 6 months. This will help with the repetition and it will help keep your business top of mind for your prospects and for pretty small amounts of money, really. And as I said, repetition really works. If you're consistent with the information that you're sending, as well as consistent with the timing that you're sending out your postcards, your customers or prospects will eventually have a need for the product or the service that you're offering, and they'll go to your website or they'll give you a call because you have been sending this message to them on a regular basis. One of the things I saw recently was somebody sent out a postcard for an event they had coming up, and one of the things they mentioned on the postcard was there was going to be an email sent out soon with more information on what was coming up. And I thought that was a great way to plant a seed for future marketing messages. And I was expecting an email from them, and I was definitely going to open that. You can also target your postcards, and we have that up here on the slide. You can mail to a specific list. So you can create a targeted list in your vertical response account if you want to. You can also, if you're renting a list or purchasing a list, and in our system we do not allow purchase list for emails, but for postcards, as I said, the rules on postal addresses are a little different than emails. So we do allow purchase lists for postcard addresses. So another way to target is to purchase a list that's specific to a neighborhood or a specific zip code, maybe a specific demographic that you're trying to reach. So you can have them go to the specific people you want to. And if you're using postcards in a certain way, you can also track what's going on with the postcards. It isn't going to track like an email does, so you're not going to be able to see when they get the postcard and when they're reading it like you could with an email. But there are some things that you can do to track who is getting your postcard. So you need to ask for some kind of a response on the postcard, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, call to action, what it is you're trying to get people to do. It works in emails and it works on postcards too. So you're going to want to include something like a landing page for them to go to. So if you have a URL on your postcard, send them to a specific landing page that you're only giving to for postcards. So maybe it's www.yourwebsite.com/postcards. And then you'll know whoever's hitting that particular landing page is coming from your postcard. So you can track how effective your message on your postcard is with that. If you don't have a website like that, if you have a brick and mortar store, you can ask people to call. So if they're calling for a service or if they're calling about a product, ask them to mention the postcard, and you can put that right on your postcard. And then just keep track of the number of people who mention the postcard when they call in. Or a very easy thing to do is just ask them to bring the postcard in. So if you're offering a discount or something like that on a product or service, ask them to bring the postcard in order for them to qualify for that. And you'll be able to track how many people bring in the postcard. And Brendan's going to talk about this a little bit more later on. Postcards are also really easy. They're easy to create and they're easy to launch, but they're also very powerful. They're kind of like mini billboards, and they're also really easy for your recipient. Like I said earlier, they have the information right in front of them. It doesn't require them to open anything to see your message. So as they're sifting through their stack of mail when they're walking up to the front door, they'll already have seen your postcard message and be thinking about what's going on there.
Okay, so gave you the ideas on why to use them. Now we'll give you some examples on when to use postcards. Um, as we've been talking about, postcards can be a great way to help drive signups to your house list. So as Jill was saying, you can purchase a list with postcards, but it's always best and going to be most effective if you're mailing and using your house list. So what you can do with postcards are reach out to the recipients on your purchase or rented list and give them a call to action, as Jill was saying, to come to your website and to come sign up. Giving them, oftentimes if you have some kind of incentive, sign up today and receive 10% off, X product or something like that. Also, you can have them physically come into your, if you have a store, you could have them come in, bring the postcard in, and then physically sign up that way as well. Trade shows are great. So trade shows often will provide the attendees, pre and post show lists. So you're not allowed to email these people with vertical response unless you get permission. But again, you can physically mail them. So what you can do is you can send them some postcards with information about, where your booth's going to be, what you're going to talk about, that sort of thing. And then you can include some sort of call to action, whether they check out your website or have them come over to your booth with the postcard and they get some kind of free goodie or something like that. You can also help integrate with email campaigns, so boost the response of a larger campaign. So as we said, postcards go great together with email. So you send some emails with information, with promotions, and then also sort of follow up with postcards. To really make sure that the message gets in there. Inboxes can get really cluttered, especially coming up in the holidays
Yeah.
or coming up now. So hitting them again with a postcard can really drive home the message and make sure that everybody is seeing what you want to see and that your message is getting seen. And then also, postcards are a great way to get people with either bounced email addresses or non-responders to get them more involved. So if people you are emailing, again, the addresses is bounced, therefore they're not seeing your message. Sending them a postcard, encouraging them to come to your site, update their contact information so that you can say fun things like, oh, we miss you, want to make sure that you're getting these things, and that can be another great way to keep your customers involved and make sure that they're seeing your messages.
So let's start talking a little bit about lists. So first of all, as I said earlier, it's always best to mail to your customers and prospects. Those are obviously going to be the people who are most interested in your products and services, and so it'll be a more effective list. But if you want to expand that, you have some options. So first of all, you can rent lists or you can purchase lists, and I'm going to go into the difference between these. First of all, one of the things to keep in mind is if there's a publication or some kind of organization that has the same target audience that your company or organization has, then you might want to ask them about renting a list. So they might be willing, if for a fee, of course, to rent their mailing list so that you could send a postcard to them. You can also use a list broker, and these are people who will research and recommend lists for you. And then once you decide on what you want to use, they're going to manage all the paperwork and other details that come along for renting a list. So for example, they can help you find a list of businesses or consumers who have purchased products or services similar to what it is that you offer, or people who fall into a specific demographic or income range that you're trying to reach. One thing to keep in mind if you are looking at a broker is that you want to make sure they have a good reputation. As far as renting versus buying, there are pros and cons for each of them. So these are some of the things to keep in mind. Rented lists are not your own list, and usually you have a limited mailing, and generally that's going to be one time. Um, you are dependent on the people who've created this list, the accuracy of the information in the list, and so the information that you get also may be limited, again, because you're just renting the list and it isn't yours. Um, as far as purchasing a list, which is usually a multiple use list, you can pretty much do anything with the information provided other than sell it, and that usually means that you can mail more than one time. So if you wanted to do a series of postcards or you wanted to mail on a more regular basis, then purchasing a list would be more up your alley than renting. But the thing is, purchase lists are going to be more expensive than renting a list because you can do more with them. Um, Also, you can build your own list, and Brendan is going to cover this in just a few minutes. And again, building your own list and using internal lists are usually a little more successful. But if you can purchase or rent a list that's really targeting who you're looking for, that'll give you a good start. So a couple things to keep in mind when you're thinking about renting a list. Again, make sure that they have a good reputation. How often are they updating the information on the list? You don't want to rent a list of addresses that are 5 years old. That may just not be very accurate. You can also also one of the things that I wanted to point out on here is the CPM pricing. That may not be something that everybody is familiar with. It kind of depends on what you do for a living. But mailing list pricing is based on cost per thousand. That's what CPM is, cost per thousand. And in most cases, the list brokers enforce a minimum charge regardless of the size of the list. And usually that's around $500 or more. One of the things you also want to keep in mind is before you rent or purchase a list, determine how much your budget is for your postcard campaign. And you have to keep in mind the entire mailing. So, and what it is that you need to have in return in order for your postcard campaign to break even or for you to make a profit. So you need to keep in mind the cost of the printing. If you have to pay someone to create the creative for the front of the postcard, you have to keep that in mind. If you're renting or purchasing a list, you need to keep that in mind. Any additional product or service or hands that you need for helping with the additional workload, all of that needs to be taken into consideration before you start deciding that this might be a fabulous idea. So these are some list resources. There are lots of them out there, but these are some that will get you started if you actually are interested in looking at purchasing or renting a list. InfoUSA and Melissa Data are both B2C list providers, so that's business to consumer. InfoUSA has some information on products and database marketing services. Melissa Data has consumer and some business data as well. The DMA, the Direct Marketing Association, has a good mailing list search tool, so you can search for lists that are available. You just need to go to their website, which I have up there, the-dma.org, and then under the Resources tab, search for mailing lists, and you can type in any kind of parameters that you want. So if you're trying to target a specific group of people, maybe people who like puppies or golfing or whatever it is that you're looking for your list parameters, you can put that information in, and then it's going to bring back a list of lists that you can use, rent or purchase through different sources. So basically, it's pulling the information from around the web. If you're looking for more B2B information, the rest of them that we have on here are pretty good. The Dun & Bradstreet is a good one. IDexec.com also has B2B information. You can also try a subscription service like Hoover's or OneSource. And then also Jigsaw is a good source for addresses. So if you have an email address and you're looking for a postal address, Jigsaw is good for that. And if you happen to be one of our Salesforce users, Jigsaw has recently been integrated into Salesforce, so you would have that built into your Salesforce platform already. to help you find that type of information.
Okay, now we'll talk about actually building a list, and as we kind of keep mentioning, postcards go really hand in hand with emails as well, and with this list, what we'll talk about with list building, it really can apply to both postcards and emails. So what you can do is use what you have to build your own list. As we keep saying, mailing to, whether it's postcards or emails, mailing to your own home list, house list, is really the best way to do it, because again, those are your actual customers or your engaged recipients. So one thing you can do is put an opt-in form on your website. That's a sign-up form, and with any vertical response account, you can create an opt-in form for free using our easy tool. So it's just kind of, you go through a couple steps, and all of a sudden you'll be ready to post that on your site. And what that can do is, as you can see in the little image we have there, it's a form where people can fill out, their email address, their name, and of course, if you want to send postcards to them, definitely include an address as well. Make sure they include that. That can be a great way to build the list. And
you can also put an opt-in form on a blog or Facebook or pretty much anywhere the people that you need to get in touch with can find you. You can add that opt-in form there.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you can create a refer a friend program. So again, this can either be done via email or postcard, or via social media as well. It's refer a friend sort of refers to taking your most sort of loyal and active customers or recipients and having them, or encouraging them to spread the word about your business. So a lot of times good refer a friend programs offer discounts, like, oh, refer a friend, get them to sign up, and then both people get some sort of discount for doing that. And also we have here ask at checkout, or including your sales team, your customer support team, your the people who work in your store, getting that everyone on kind of the same page to convey the message of, we want new people to sign up. So for example, at checkout, if it's over the phone or again in person, the service representative can just ask, oh, by the way, are you on our mailing list before we check out? Can I just take a moment to enter in your email information? That sort of thing. That can be a great way, again, to get people to sign up because they've already purchased, and then of course you're getting their permission. So that way they'll definitely be much more engaged. Also, if you have any in-person locations, a guest book or a fishbowl where people can drop in business cards, that's another great way to build a list. All right, now we'll talk about some postcard best practices. So limit the postcard's scope, one idea. So obviously postcards aren't terribly big, so you only have a certain amount of space. So you want to keep the idea focused. You don't want to have too many things going on, because that way it gets jumbled and looks cluttery, and can be confusing for your recipients. If you do have more than one idea or more than one perhaps promotions, it's best to send multiple postcards. So spreading it out over the course, like if you have a sale for 10% and then returning customers get 25%, you'd want to still have those be different postcards. Sticking with the one principle, use a nice eye-catching image that supports your headline, but just use one image. So the little picture we have in the bottom, the special club savings, nice little wine bottle, really clear, really clean, looks good, not confusing about how many things might be happening there, really straightforward. And again, focus on the offer as well. A good offer is a solid promise of value to motivate people to respond. So just a nice picture doesn't always do it. You want some sort of either instruction, or, as we say in the next bullet, a nice call to action. What do you want them to do? Because since it's a postcard, they physically have to take an action more than with an email. They could just click a link and get somewhere. With a postcard, you have to really break it down simply for them. So whether that's including a very specific and easy to type in URL, or telling them to bring the postcard to the event or bring it to their store, really making it clear and really making it focused is the way to go. And also making sure you have the right list. So as we said, you can purchase and rent lists, all you need to do, but definitely want to make sure you're mailing to the right group. So for example, if you have a local event, like again, whether if you're a local store or something like that, you just want to make sure you're mailing to people in your area. So if you break up your list by zip code. There's a better chance by focusing on that a specific area or specific couple of zip codes, in your region. You're gonna have a lot more success emailing to a smaller, more targeted list as opposed to just trying to hit everybody, in a big mass. Some people might not, be in the area, not be able to take advantage of your offer. And then repetition. Repetition always works. So, it constantly staying in at the top of mind of your customers. So, as we said, just like with emails, sometimes things can get missed. If maybe they put your original postcard on their refrigerator, but maybe things have happened and they've kind of started to forget about it. Hitting them again is a nice reminder because they remember seeing it before and they say, "Oh, don't forget to check out our website, or don't forget to come to this closing sale." Again, staying in front of them just keeps your business in the front of their mind.
And again, this time of year, people are getting a little busy and a little
Yes.
frantic, so reminding them in case they've forgotten about a sale or an event or something that you've organized, sending another postcard just to remind them is a great way to repeat your message.
Absolutely. And then finally, including tracking. Jill mentioned this a little bit earlier. So this is, again, with postcards, you obviously can't physically track the clicks, opens, and things like that. But if you have, let's say, a specific promotional code on the postcard that's unique to the postcard recipients, that way you can track who's clearly taking an action based on who got the postcard, or a custom landing page, that sort of thing. And then test it out, see what works. See if you get more response via email, or if the postcards really help jump up your sales, that kind of thing. Really play around and see what works best.
So some other things to keep in mind when you're thinking about doing your postcards. One of the important things that you need to remember is postcards take a little more lead time and planning than emails generally do. First of all, you have to have a creative design. So whatever you're going to put on the front. And it could be very simple. It could be something that you're using from our image library. But if you need help from a designer, you need to keep in mind however long it's going to take them to design the image that you're going to use. You also have to plan for the printing and the mailing time as well. Generally speaking, once you hit the launch button in our system, it takes 8 to 10 days for your postcard to show up in the mailbox. This time of year, it's getting busy. It's starting to pick up on the postcard side. So we do have some mailing deadlines, which I will show at the end. On the last slide, we have that information. But for the holiday season, you definitely want to give about a 14-day clearance from the time you click launch to the time you expect it to show up in somebody's inbox. So it's going to be a little bit longer launch time for the holidays. Also, you want to have some other things to keep in mind. You want to try to avoid having your postcards be delivered on Monday. It's a little bit out of your control, but you can kind of look and see about how long it's going to take for them to be delivered. Monday is usually a really busy mail date. As you can imagine, Sundays there's no mail delivery, so Monday makes up for 2 days. You also want to keep in mind federal holidays, and there are a few coming up now. And for every day that the post office is closed, it's slightly longer than a day for the post office to catch up. I used to manage our postcards for a number of years, and I did notice that if the post office was closed for 1 day, it was usually about a 2-day catch-up for the delivery. So you want to keep in mind if during the 14 days that you have set up for your postcards to be delivered, if there's going to be a federal holiday, you need to build in a couple extra days for the post office to catch up. Also, you want to keep in mind that generally speaking, the response rates are usually 1 to 3%. And that's across all industries. So if you send out 1,000 pieces, you'll have a successful mailing if at least 10 people respond to your offer. And another thing to keep in mind is that responses will probably have a snowball effect and something that takes place over time. So some people will respond instantly, especially depending on what your message is or what your product or service is. Some people are going to need whatever you're offering right away, and so they're going to take advantage of whatever your postcard says then. Some people won't need it right away, but they'll save the postcard, as I said earlier, and then when they're in need of the service or product that you have, then because they remember your postcard, they'll come to you. So this isn't really a bad thing necessarily because this is going to give you more of a steady stream of business instead of having everything all at once. Also, a couple things to keep in mind before you're doing your postcard mailing. This is a good time for you to clean up your list. So if you haven't taken a look at your list in a while, you might want to take a look and make sure that everyone on the list should be on the list. If you had bad addresses from a previous mailing and you know that, now is the time to clean it up before you go and send out your postcard. So you might want to set up a little bit of time before you send out your postcards to update your database. Also, another thing to keep in mind about sending postcards is the impact it's going to make on your business. So you just want to make sure your business is prepared to deliver whatever it is that you're offering on your postcard. So make sure you've thought through whatever necessary resources or stock or staff that you're going to need to fulfill whatever you're offering on your postcard. And so now the fun. This is what you guys were waiting for, I think. So we've talked about some of the real specific nitty-gritty stuff about doing postcards, but it's always more fun to take a look at what other people have done. And so we have lots of examples for you. And for different events and different holidays, too, we have here. So postcards, Brendan actually mentioned this earlier, are really good for events. If you're going to a trade show, for example, if you're going to show at the trade show, postcards are really great for helping to drive people to come to your booth. So if you look in the top right, the Brintech postcard is an invitation to come to their booth at a particular event. And anyone who stops by with the postcard will get a complimentary coffee card. So that's a good way to help get people to come to the booth. The other thing that Brintech does after the event that they invite people to is they send out a follow-up postcard after the event to thank people for coming by and give people a little more information about the company. And then also anyone who came by and dropped off the postcard to get the coffee card also would get a follow-up from a sales rep on the phone. Some other things you can use postcards for are invitations to an event, whether it's a party or a business event. You can invite people to that. You can use it for an announcement that you have an event coming up, so like a save the date type of postcard. And as I said, follow-up is also really good. The other image on this slide is a thank you event. So thank yous, we're going to talk about this a little bit later as well. Thank you postcards are a great thing to send out this time of year. But what this business did is that they took it one step further and they had an event to thank their customers. So they were having an anniversary open house and they had snacks and beverages available for the people who came by. And they also were going to be demonstrating a new product. So it's a good way to get people into your store if you have a storefront. A nice way to thank people for being customers over time, and also just a great way to show anything going on in your company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and here's an example of a referral. So right off the bat, again, as we were talking about earlier, referrals can be great ways to help build your list. So sending postcards regularly to your best contacts or your most loyal customers and asking them for referrals. Word of mouth is definitely a great way to, as I said, to build your list and to spread the word about your company or organization. This particular example is good. You have sort of a very crisp, clean image that says clearly refer a friend. The company, we blacked out the company name or whited out the company name.
We did white it out.
That's why it looks a little barren. But so and then on the back is the actual details of the promotion. So what it is they were offering a $100 gift certificate to Amazon if any of their customers referred a friend and that friend made a purchase. And the way they kind of kept track of that was they directed all the traffic to a specific web page, landing page on their site with more detail about the referral offer. So as I said, that way they can track, which transactions were a result of the postcard as to opposed to normal web traffic or things like that. All right, here's another one. This is a good example of how to fix bounces or get people to resubscribe. So this is
for your email list.
For your email list, yes. Let me clarify. Thank you.
You don't get bounces on your postal
no.
list.
But so this postcard was sent by a map company who's just trying to update their email marketing list. They sent to the email to people who have bounced.
Postcard.
Sorry, thank you.
We talk about emails like 99.9% of the time, and it's really hard to switch postcard and email.
Yes, sorry about that. So they sent the postcard so the people can then sign up for their emails. So as you can see here, they have a nice kind of cool map image, which represents their company. Then on the back of the postcard, they have information on what they want the customer or recipient to do. They want them to either reply or go to a website, that sort of thing, to then re-sign up. And as we said before, you can use in one of our opt-in forms, just put on your blog, your Facebook, your website, that sort of thing.
So here are some more postcard examples. Wrong grammar there. You can also use postcards for announcements, and this is a great thing to do any time of the year, but it's also great for this time of year as well. People are looking for new and interesting things for the holidays, and so it is a great time to do announcements like this. So you could do announcements about new products. If you have a pricing change, postcards are a great way to announce that. Also, if you have a new location or if you have new hours, especially during the holidays, most stores, if you have a store, have different hours for the holidays. So announcing that ahead of time with a postcard to help keep in your customers' minds that they have more opportunity to shop with you. A postcard is a great example. So on the top right-hand corner, we have a winery customer of ours, and they sent out an announcement that their wine club members saying that the wine club shipment was available, and they also were invited to come in for a tasting as well. So if they came in and picked up their wine club shipment, they could also go in for a tasting. Steinway in the bottom left-hand corner uses postcards for a lot of different things, and mostly for announcements, but they also do it for events. So this is an example of a price increase, so they were letting their customers know ahead of time there was going to be an increase. They also use postcards for special financing. They do have pretty big products that they're selling. They also send postcards for event invitations. They also do educational programs, and they use event postcards to invite people for that. And they also have some regional programs that they use postcards to invite people to as well.
Okay, so tout proven success or brag about yourself, brag about your business. So using postcards to tell people that you were successful, your business was successful. They people like seeing that, and that can build sort of trust and excitement, energy towards your organization or business. And it also promotes the idea of success. So, for example, maybe you've won an award or been nominated locally, something like that. So this particular example is a real estate agent sent this postcard to people in a certain area because these are local. The places mentioned here are local, real estate places, and basically they're just letting the area know that we were really successful in selling these homes, so come check us out, give us a call, that sort of thing. Again, back on the sort of idea of success, for example, if your business has been nominated for something or a salesman or anything like that, the promoting yourself to encourage either votes or things like that can be a great kind of double whammy. You're letting them know that you're successful enough to be nominated for something, and you're engaging your audience to sort of include them in voting or spreading the word, that sort of thing.
You can use postcards for notifications as well. So if there's a name change for a product, for example, this is a great way to reach out to people. If your company is going to be changing a name, also a good way to let people know, especially if you're sending out a lot of emails as well. So sending a postcard announcing that there's been maybe an acquisition or something and there might be some changes in the emails coming up. Sending a postcard is a great way to let people know that they should expect to see something slightly different. Maybe if people have some kind of a subscription service with you and something's about to expire, sending a postcard is a good way to let them know as well. Um, you can also use it for things like a proxy vote or something like that. And we also have some more information on this in the next couple, not a proxy vote, but special services postcards coming up. What I would like to point out on this particular postcard is this company had a program that they were using, and they were changing the name and how it was going to work, and they sent out a series of postcards. So they didn't do just one, they did 3 different postcards, and the postcards were different colors, and that was just to try to keep people's attention as this was getting closer and closer to changing. So they just wanted to make sure their customers understood that there was going to be a different name for the product that they were using, and the information was going to that the customer was accessing was going to be the same, but the name was going to change. So they spent a little bit of time making sure that their customers knew that this big change was coming on into their system. So we have some service and product postcards here. A lot of these are actually service, and then there's some products coming up a little bit later. But I know Halloween just passed, but I thought the one in the top left was really cute. They did a nice job of incorporating Halloween into their holiday postcard and said save $5 on shipping. And so that's a really fun picture and also just a good way to keep people interested in what's going on in the company. The one in the bottom right-hand corner is probably one of my favorite examples of postcards. We have a lot of companies that mail through us, whether they're mailing postcards or emails, that are really more service-oriented and they're not necessarily selling a product. So this particular postcard was for a software company that helps with networks, and so they're just letting people know that they're there for them in the holidays. But this particular sentiment would be really useful for lots of different companies, I think. You know, the picture is great, but the idea will work for all kinds of companies. So if you offer something, if you're like a plumber, if you have a gardening business, at least if you live in a warm area, if you have a catering company, if you're a florist, if you have a restaurant, or if you have a spa or a salon or any type of service type of companies, this sentiment would work for any of those, because there isn't anything worse during a holiday party than not having your plumbing working. Or, you know, if you're something happened to the food you were going to serve and you need a caterer at the last minute. So just letting people know ahead of time that you are there for them during the holidays is a great way to keep your business in mind when they need something like that this time of year. These are also some more service type of postcards. They're kind of fun. The top one, the top right one, is a lodge that does fishing trips in the summer. Obviously, this isn't a really good time of year for fishing just about anywhere, but it's really fun. It's a holiday card, but it's also a great way for the people who are starting to think about what they're going to do for their summer break. Can keep in mind that this lodge is going to be available for them during the summer months. So it's a nice way to stay in touch with people who come to this particular business, and also to plant the seed for what they're going to do for next year. The one on the bottom left does troubleshooting for online companies as well, and so the picture is just really kind of funny, holiday troubleshooting. Again, though, it's a great way to keep the type of services that you offer top of mind for your customers this time of year, when they might suddenly need you and they're panicking over something that's gone wrong.
So reminders, the examples we just used have also been great examples of reminders. Just talk about these two. The top one in the left is a reminder for booking holiday vacations. So obviously, as the holidays are fast approaching, especially this was a ski lodge one. Obviously, skiing is very popular in northern snowy areas, and then those mountains and lodges can book up pretty quickly. So they're just reminding you ahead of time. You know, that this particular one was sent just in the beginning of November, which is where we are now. Just again for that reminder. And the other one is a restaurant as well, reminding people to book restaurants early for any holiday parties or events. You know, obviously end of the year, holiday parties are very popular. So again, they're just staying a nice little reminder, don't forget, and they have the nice little holiday themed picture, which again can make people feel nice and warm and fuzzy. And here's some other general ideas. So driving website traffic and then building your list of email signups. Again, we've talked about this a lot. The top example is from this company called, or a restaurant called the Barley House, which is actually in New Hampshire, in my hometown. So these guys are near and dear to my heart. They what they do is they send postcards to anybody that just moved into the area, and as you can see, it says "Welcome to the neighborhood," and they include a 50% discount. If they bring in the postcard. So that's kind of using all of the things that we've talked about. They also include their website, or if they don't, they should.
They do.
Yes, in there.
It'd also be great if they included something. If you brought this in, you could sign up for our mailing list if they have an email that they send out as well. But
exactly.
That's a great example of sending out a targeted targeted postcard. Again, targeting a specific demographic or a specific neighborhood or zip code.
Yep. And then, as we said again, sending to bounces or to email addresses that have bounced, getting them to resubmit their account information so you could keep mailing them both via postcards and emails. Mystery messages, sending, and this goes together with a series, sending a piece of a message, sending a small message that is a part of a larger message can be fun. So, for example, it says, "Hurry, don't miss our January special, more details to come," and then that can build excitement to when the next one comes. And sometimes it's a good idea to make sure that you let them know that there's going to be more coming as well, so they don't just think you have an incomplete postcard. And then, of course, thank yous. These can all allow you to be really creative. For example, the thank you one here, picture of the little girl, and it just says thank you, thanking customers for being loyal, all that kind of stuff. And again, you can be really cute, you can be fun, depending on your audience, depending on your customer base. Again, can let you be really creative with that.
And we have more thank you cards.
Yes. So here we go. So, and again, if any of these look funny on your screen, we have blocked out a lot of the company information for privacy. So, so they're a lot cleaner than they might sort of look. But so again, thank you. We appreciate your business. The other one here has got the personalization with the name of the person. That's again, obviously, any kind of personal touch is great. And including any kind of special offers in any of these thank yous, if you're able to create a sort of a loyalty point system or something like that, or again, just having, thanks so much for coming in, or thanks so much for being a loyal customer, bring the postcard in for a free cookie, or, whatever.
The other nice thing is that, of course, we are into November, and Thanksgiving is coming up, and this is certainly a sentiment that people are thinking this time of year. But also just end of the year, thanking people for patronizing your business throughout the year. It doesn't have to be in time for Thanksgiving. It can just be an end of the year thank you, or even, a beginning of the year thank you. Thank you for patronizing our business last year. We hope to see you again in the new year as well. Something like that. People really appreciate it, and having an additional incentive is great, but just thanking them can go a long way as well. Just knowing that you care that they come to your business.
And even some more ideas. So you don't even just have to send these on behalf of the business. You can use postcards for personal things as well. Anything from a specific holiday greeting to birthday, happy birthday wishes, Valentine's, graduation announcements. And of course, you can use those same ideas from your business as well. But the way our system works is you can order just a couple at a time. So if you just, if you want to send some to your grandkids or send some to your grandparents, that sort of thing, you can do that as well. Back to business, again, as we've been talking about, coupons or discounts. Again, having either the postcard actually physically be the ticket or coupon or discount, or referencing a website, a landing page on your site for a discount. Anything that, again, because they can physically hold the postcard in their hands and give them a clear idea what to do. And of course, as I mentioned, tickets as well. You could also include like a barcode on it too as well. That's the new fancy things that you can scan on your iPhone.
Yeah, you can put a QR code on there maybe.
Yeah. And then of course, obviously, any kind of holiday the bottom example, December 6th, Winter Solstice Honoring Day. Winter solstice is technically a holiday. I don't think we get it off, but
We sure don't get that one off.
but yeah, any kind of holiday or event that fits your business, you can go ahead and say happy this day.
Also, it's a great time of year to send out just personal holiday wishes. If you look in the top right-hand corner, the picture of the nutcrackers and the little dog, that was somebody's Christmas card that year. And they had their Christmas greetings on the back. And you can use this for anything. And that's one of the fun things this time of year is seeing the postcards that people are sending out that are personal postcards. There is a family who's been mailing through us for years their holiday postcards. And the front has pictures of their little boy in doing different things throughout the year, and it's really cute. And it was been really cute to see him grow up over the years because they do it every year. But it's a really easy way for you to create something really personal and not have to worry about having to stamp everything and get it in the mail because we do all of that for you. You can also use postcards for suggesting holiday gifts, and so these are just a handful of some of them that we've seen. The top right postcard is a company that specializes in yoga gifts, and so they had some pictures with some of the yoga clothing and tools, I guess you could call it, accessories that you need for yoga, as well as some more information about the company on the back. The lingerie one on the left is a very cute creative. It says naughty and nice. And then they also offered a 10% discount if somebody brought in the postcard. I'm sorry, a $10 discount, not 10%. $10 discount if somebody brought that in. The bottom right postcard is from a winery, and I really like the image. It's not specific to the holidays, but it has a really good message on it. And then on the back of the postcard, they listed some of their recent releases, so some of their wines that they recently put out. Plus, they had some other gift type things that they offered besides their wine. So it's a great way for you to not only suggest a specific product that people can purchase, but maybe people are looking for last-minute gifts because there are last-minute shoppers out there. So you might want to include other things like that you have gift cards available or gift certificates available that people can get quickly and then bring into your store later after the holidays. So it's a good way just to put this kind of information in people's minds. So we've looked at lots of fun and some cute postcards that are great for any time of year and also the holidays. But this is an example of what not to do with a postcard. And there's a couple things here. First of all, if you look at the creative on the left, it's actually really kind of a cool creative. The picture of a clock, time is kind of running out. But they have a typo on the front. If you look at the bottom, it says carpet and upholstery cleaning, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be carpet. So you want to make sure, just like when you're sending out your emails, that you have somebody proofread your postcard. So just make sure that everything looks good before you send it out. When you're using our system, we actually have a PDF that you need to take a look at and proofread, and you can share that with other people just to make sure everything looks good. The right-hand side of this slide is the back of this postcard, and there's a lot wrong with this. First of all, they have a novel on the back, and that was one of the things that we talked about earlier when you're doing best practices for a postcard is you need to have one topic and one idea. You also have limited space, so you do not want to put too much information on here. Postcards are not huge, so using really small font like this makes it hard for the recipient to read what's going on here, which means they may not get all of the important information. So keep in mind that somebody has to read your postcard as well, and make sure it's easy for them to get what it is you're trying to get them to do. Your call to action, make sure that's easy to read. The other thing to notice are the two red circles, and this is what the post office does to your postcards so that they go through their little machines. And so those are the little stickers that they have the barcodes on, and they're covering up important information. The one on the right is covering up phone numbers, and so that's not good. People aren't going to be able to get in touch with your company. And on the left, it's covering up the logo as well as where this company is located. So really important information is being covered up here. Now, those red circles aren't going to be a problem if you're using vertical response because we actually have a limit to how far down on your postcard you can write, And so we don't let you go into the part where this barcode goes. We also print the barcode on the postcard, so you don't run into this particular problem. But we just want to make sure you're not putting that much text on the back of your postcard. So a little more information here. People have often asked us questions about our postcards, so this is some more information. We do have some videos on our help site, so you can go take a look at that. And all our videos are really short. They're 2 minutes long or less. There's also some text tutorials there, so if you need some help getting started, that information is there. Our postcard pricing is on our website. We have 2 different postcard sizes. We have 4x6, which is your standard postcard size, and then we have a 6x9. Since there's 2 different sizes, there's different pricing tiers for each of them. The easiest thing to do to get a price quote is to just type in how many postcards you're looking to send, and we'll tell you how much it costs. There are no minimums with our system. That's one of the good things. So you can buy 1 postcard. You could buy 5,000. It's entirely up to you, and the more you purchase, the lower the price is for your postcard. Some of the technical things, our printer uses 110 pound glossy paper. The glossy part is actually a UV coating that's put over the postcard to try to protect it from some of those machines that the post office uses. It's also 30% recycled material, and the paper is Forest Stewardship Council certified. And if you wanted to see what that means, there's a URL there. And then we have a blog. The easiest way, this is the blog, but it's easier to get to it if you just go to our blog, blog.verticalresponse.com, and just scroll down a little bit. It was posted about 2 weeks ago, and it has a bunch of save-the-date holiday mailing deadlines, and it's not just for sending postcards or mail, but also like packages. If you're shipping things through UPS, has all kinds of mailing dates on there. So that's a good reference for this holiday season.
All right, so we hope all these tips were helpful. We'll get to the Q&A in just a second, but again, just letting you know that with again the vertical response postcard product, it's free to try. When you try it, we allow you to send your first postcard completely for free. So try it out, play with the image, play with the size, see what works best for you. And this month, up until the 20th, you get 10% off any purchase automatically.
Of a postcard.
Of a postcard, sorry. Specifically a postcard, yes.
Yeah.
And then, as Jill mentioned, some of the holiday mailing deadlines. This as it applies to us, as again, you want to be about 2 weeks ahead, especially because of the busyness of the holiday season. So again, if you want something definitely to arrive by Thanksgiving, you want to get it out through our system by the 10th.
And that means clicking the launch button.
Yes.
And having it approved and go out. So you have to do that by the 10th.
Yep. And then as you can see, the rest, Hanukkah is December 7th, Christmas is the 10th, and New Year's is the 17th.